I'm Jamie Lynn Totaro with Holy Mindful, and I'm here with my daughter.
I'm Anjali.
And we are going to do a little practice called How Would You Treat a Friend? It's a self-compassion exercise I do with parents and children who take my classes. And if you're watching this video, and if you're a parent-child pair, I would invite you to do this together. And even if you're just an adult watching it, you can just do it yourself, maybe journal when I tell you to check in. So, to start with, what I'm going to invite you to imagine is that a friend either calls you up or maybe talks to you if you go for a walk outside together or something, and they say, I'm feeling really sad and a little lonely because of this pandemic. And what I'd like you to imagine is what you would say to your friend, and a couple things like what would your tone of voice be like when you talk to your friend? What would your words be? And kind of how would your body be as you talk to your friend? Okay, can you imagine that for a moment? All right. And I'm imagining too. Like what would I say to my friend? Okay. You want to share what you'd say?
I'd say it's okay. I also feel like that. Like we're all in this together.
That's really kind. Yeah, I'm noticing your voice is soft. Yes.
Mhm.
And yeah, it feels. I kind of almost feel soft when you say it. You know what I mean? I feel a little comforted. And I think I'd say a similar thing to my friend. I'd say I understand it makes sense. I think I'd tell my friend it makes sense that you feel sad, and I'm sorry you feel that way. I give them a little empathy.
Yeah.
All right. So the second part of this exercise is to imagine that it's you. So maybe you feel a little sad or a little lonely because of this pandemic. Has that ever happened, by the way? Have you ever felt lonely or sad? Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure. Me too. All right. So what I'd like you to imagine is what you would say. What do you say? Just think for a minute. What do I say to myself when this kind of thing happens? What words do you say to yourself? What is your tone of voice like? And also, like, how is your body language? So, you considering that for a moment?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm considering too. Okay, so what do you notice? What do you say?
I would say, well, you're not good enough. You need to have more good things going on. You need to have like maybe more friends, and you need to be better.
Oh, and when you say that, can I give you a hug, by the way?
Mhm.
I feel a little compassion for you just when you say that. That's a harsh kind of, we call that actually a critic, right? So you have kind of a critical voice with a harsh tone, yes, that says you should do better. Um, so I think for me, and I've been teaching self-compassion now for like, a long time. But I think for me, I have I have a little part of me that it's even in my body that feels disappointed that I'm lonely. That kind of like you said, that thinks that I should somehow do better, and if I just did it right, that I wouldn't feel sad or lonely. That I must somehow be inadequate. Which, anyways, I feel compassion for myself when I say that. I'm like, oh, that's so hard. So yeah, so if you're watching the video, I'd invite you to notice the differences. You notice we talked about the differences, right? Your voice to your friend is more empathic and understanding, me too, and to yourself, it's a little more critical, yes, harsh. And the invitation actually of self-compassion training is to treat ourselves like we treat a good friend when we're struggling. So I'm going to invite you to be a little curious about what it would be like next time that you are feeling sad or lonely if you said to yourself, yeah, it makes sense that I feel this way, right? I'm not alone. Other kids, other grown-ups, they feel lonely too. It's not your fault. You could even say to yourself, it's not your fault. How does that feel if you say it's not your fault you feel this way?
I feel better.
Feels better, right? We don't have to be like self-critical because we feel bad. Then it's like two bad things, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you. Thanks, Anjali, for doing this exercise with me. And I thank you all for watching. And stay tuned. We'll be doing a couple more videos about how we can treat ourselves like we treat a good friend.